I would now like for you to take part of your awareness and scan it down your physical body as it lays on the bed in a very detached way, almost as if the body belongs to someone else. And I want you to let me know as you pass your awareness down the body if you become aware of any pain or discomfort in the body, any anxiety or anger, or feelings of dense energy that should not be there. Pass your awareness down the body, starting at the head, and let me know what you should find, if anything.
The body's completely relaxed.
Very relaxed. Do you see any areas of density or any attachments that are of concern?
There's some clenching of the stomach.
Okay, clenching of the stomach. Let us take a look at that. As you observe that area, could you tell me if this clenching, this tension has a color?
Yellow.
Yellow. Is this in your solar plexus area?
Yes.
Okay, but it is clenching. I would like to take this yellow energy and very gently and slowly move it up to the throat chakra so that we may speak to it and find out why you are having this clenching sensation. So, right now, we are gently moving that energy to your throat. Do you feel it there?
Yes.
Thank you. I would like to ask this energy, why are you creating a sense of tension in Laura's solar plexus area?
This individual has so much power in that area that is unused.
That is unused. And what is the clenching sensation supposed to be doing for this situation? How is this? Is this assisting or inhibiting her?
It's calling attention.
Okay. What would it like to say so that we can make any necessary adjustments?
It's calling to attention to her that her physical power is not being utilized.
Her physical power. Could you tell us more? We aren't aware of this. What do you mean by her physical power?
In the practice of Qigong or Tai Chi, which she is versed in from years ago of being a practitioner, the Dantian, the solar plexus, is the area that you build your personal and energetic power from. This area is what radiates out into the world. A lot of people misuse this power and utilize it from an egotistical perspective. That was what turned her off from the individuals that she was working with, as she saw that they were misusing this power to control others. This power is still very strong within her. It is what people see or experience in her presence that they can't really identify. However,
Okay.
this information is coming forth today to remind her that she has not lost that power, that it still resides within her, and that it's wanting to come back to be used in a positive way. We cannot, at this point, provide her the methods in which it would be utilized, but we just want to reintroduce her to her personal physical power and to start to begin to work with it again.
Thank you. And what are there specific practices, or if you could be a bit more detailed as to making suggestions what she should do to strengthen herself and to utilize this power? What would you suggest for lifestyle change?
Well, the most familiar and easiest way would be to begin to practice Qigong again in any form that is resonant with her. The forms that she used to practice are no longer resonant with her, so we would suggest that she do some research and find a video or uh, online practice that does not is not connected to what repelled her previously from practicing qigong. Even deep breathing for anyone who wants to build upon that area would be sufficient. Tumo breathing is something that is easily researchable and you can find information on that would build that energy. So that is what we would remind her to do.
Thank you. I would like to know, I know I am speaking to an energy with a yellow frequency. To whom am I actually speaking right now? Am I speaking to the energy of the solar plexus chakra specifically?
We are the physical body that is speaking.
Thank you very much. So, this energy, now that we have understood why attention is being brought there, is it necessary for Laura to have this clenching sensation?
We chuckle because the clenching sensation is hunger. However, that was
Hunger.
useful to have that help to identify. She feels the spreading of this energy in her solar plexus throughout her physical body at this moment, which is causing an increase in physical temperature for her. This
Okay.
is something that is quite pleasurable as you could compare it to um, the sensation of sexual arousal, but not in the root chakra itself. It's more in the middle of the abdomen that spreads throughout the body. This is something that all of you could use and work upon to build your physical strength during these times.
Very good. So, using the techniques you outlined to Laura regarding the physical activity, you would suggest that for all of us?
If it is your desire to build upon your physical strength, the Dantian or solar plexus is the area in which you could begin to do that. It's the bridge
Thank you.
between the lower chakras and the upper chakras, the bridge between the physicalness and the heart and above. This is meant to spread throughout the entire body and unite both systems. However, most people do become um, what is the word? Enthralled, entranced with the physical sensation, and it causes you to get stuck there because it is a pleasurable feeling.
I see. So, how would we avoid this from happening?
To begin with the intention that it is not to just remain in that area, that the intention and goal would be to build that energy, that fire within, that it would spread to the heart, to the throat, to the third eye, to the crown chakra, to blend all of the chakras in the most effective and efficient way to benefit you as a whole. Uh, it is not uncommon and unnatural for the human to become enthralled with the feeling that you will experience when you work with that chakra. But with if you have the purest intention and you work with your higher self to remind you if you get stuck in that physical sensation
Mhm.
that is quite enjoyable, that you would not fall prey to that. I think that people who work with that chakra and that chakra alone are the ones who tend to get stuck in the ego driven mind and the need to control others with their power. And that's what Laura experienced when she worked with certain individuals when that was their only intention. And those individuals are certainly paying the price for that decision.
I see. What do you mean by paying the price?
When you only focus on wanting to control others and be powerful, and you don't have the desire or intention to expand past that, that energy only has a short lifespan.
I see. And what happens to that individual? What is the ramification? What do they experience?
Well, loss of power.
Loss of power. I see. This this energy we're speaking to, this beautiful solar plexus light that has come through. This light needing to be transmuted in any way, or should we be putting it back into the solar plexus where it was found? What would you suggest?
The energy is very positive. It just needs to be expanded upon. It is a
Okay.
very pleasurable um, reminder for her. She feels as though her life force is depleting, but we're reminding her it is not. She's just not actively worked with it.
All right. So should we move this energy back down to the solar plexus or should we move it out of the body? I will allow you to guide me in this.
There's no need to remove anything. It's just
Okay.
we've come to as a reminder that
I
her life
see.
force is still very strong. She's just forgotten to work with it.
While we're able to speak to you, because it's not often we get to actually speak to the physical body, many people are going through intense DNA upgrades, ascension symptoms. Could you expand more on what's happening to the human bodies of awakened individuals, and what we can expect as far as this transformation goes?
That is a very big question.
It is. I'm so sorry. Is it too much? You could be brief. You don't need to get.
Our vantage point of the physical body is that of the physical body. It is not our purview or perspective to be able to speak upon the broader perspectives in which you're wanting information. We
Okay.
will say for this individual that her physical body has been somewhat ignored. So that could be the message to all of you in the sense that you are so desiring to expand your
Mhm.
consciousness, your spirit, and that you are potentially and probably ignoring your physical body. There's so much power that resides within the physical body, within the energetic bodies, within the elemental aspects of your body that you have maybe ignored or forgotten. This is the message to this individual is that you have power and she's feeling the power throughout her entire physical body at this moment. You have the power of the universe within all the molecules of your body that you have set aside and focused on things out of yourself, outside of the purview of your physical body that requires your attention. Illness, fatigue, feeling of being floaty or outside of the body is a symptom of your forgetfulness that you reside in a powerhouse, and the calling your attention to those areas in your body, which is so good in these sessions when you ask the body to be scanned, because it gives the body the opportunity, as you have given us, to remind you that you have power that you can utilize if you so choose.
I think much like her, we all tend to feel that way overall. We don't, I know for myself, and I know many others, we don't realize obviously the power of the body. Are there any, as Laura in particular, as the body changes and as she absorbs more light and it becomes more activated, are there any changes to eating habits, to anything at all in her life that need to be made in order to accommodate this?
We will speak on behalf of this individual, however, it applies to all of you in some way or another.
Okay.
When you have had the experience of feeling empowered in your physical body, and all of you have at some point, usually in your youth, when you have less
Mhm.
baggage, you have less desire to feed yourself. You can recall when you were young, you could go all day and not eat if you were feeling enjoy and
Mhm.
playing with your friends. However, as you could become older and more aware of the things that don't work in your world, in your relationships, if you feel as though you have not done or become what it is you wanted to become, there are ways that you deaden that feeling. Some use alcohol, some use
Mhm.
drugs, some use food, some use addictions to electronics. And we would say to you that as you utilize or become more focused on broadening that energetic body and awakening that energy, you have less desire to partake in the things that cause your body harm. To tell someone who is not ready or able to tap into that energy, you must stop doing fill in the blank. It is not possible. You have to be, mm, have to is not a good word. It
We
is
understand.
advised
Mhm.
that you begin the process of reawakening your energy centers in your body. And by doing so, you will naturally, without any effort at all, begin to make changes that will benefit your physical body, thereby benefiting your emotional centers that all in all will help you to make better choices. But to try to put better choices on the table when you're not doing any of that really is just setting you up for failure.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Before we move this energy back down to the solar plexus, I have one more question. Do you have any other message that you, as the body, would like to convey to Laura right now while she is listening, or to humanity, whatever you prefer?
It is our deepest desire to reconnect to the essence that is within this body known as Laura. It is our greatest desire to remind each of you that you have this consciousness within your physical body that desires to have more of a connection with you. We are a partnership. We are not separate from you. You are not separate from us. We are a partnership, and we wish to reconnect with you as that partner. We walk with you throughout every day of your life. We we sit here or lay here in this regard, awaiting that awareness that we are here to help you, to move upon the world, to make the impact, but we have to do it together. So we ask that you focus not so much on what supplements you're taking, what exercise you're doing, what you're putting in your body or not, because we exist outside of all of that. We are the consciousness of the body. We are what you would call the soul of the physical body. We are here with you and wish to connect with you. That is where true power lies.
Thank you so much for all of your advice and help and for coming through to speak to us today. I would like to now very gently ask this beautiful yellow energy to move back to the solar plexus where it is housed. And I would like to thank the spirit and the soul of the body for coming through and speaking with us today.
I don't feel my feet on the path at all.
That's okay. What do you feel?
I feel like I'm floating away from it. I don't feel like I can walk along a path. I just
Don't
feel
okay. Don't force yourself to walk along the path. Allow yourself to float right now. That's a beautiful feeling. So enjoy it and let us relax and see where it takes us. There is a destination in mind. Just have to float to get there.
just feel like a balloon that's been released.
That's beautiful. What do you see around you as you're floating? Can you tell me?
Nothing.
Nothing. Is there a color?
It's our purple violet ray.
Beautiful. That's so lovely. How does that ray feel to you?
Familiar.
Familiar. Familiar. Let's bask in that beautiful familiarity for a while. We all need that feeling of familiarity, that relaxation. It's lovely.
It's completely taken over my inner vision.
That's good. Just allow. Just allow whatever happens to happen. It's beautiful. Let me know if you notice this purple energy taking you somewhere or transforming into something.
I see a flashing on the bottom edge of my third eye vision
Okay, let's
as if
focus on it.
mm,
What are you sensing about that?
mm.
Is it a oh go
It's like
ahead.
a flicker, like a flame.
What color?
It's silver platinum.
Beautiful. Do you sense a consciousness within this?
Everything's getting lighter.
All right, beautiful. Let's allow that. It's lovely. As it lightens, tell me if you see any shapes or any images begin to form.
It's just this white silver light is
Okay,
overtaking the purple.
good. Okay, that's fine. Let's see what happens. Is it still overtaking or has it completely become that silver color?
Mm. I feel a lot more relaxed. I feel there was an intensity to it when it came in,
Okay,
and now it just feels. I hear the word incorporated, but I don't know what that means.
okay. Incorporated. We'll find out what incorporated. Okay, very good. Tell me tell me when the scene begins to shift.
I'm feeling a physical presence on my right side.
Okay,
I'm feeling it physically here in the third dimension, but I'm also sensing it
okay.
visually.
Let it form. And when you have some idea of what it looks like or feels like, let me know.
The flickering starting again on my right eye.
Okay, that's fine. Allow that. Allow that. I'm going to make a request while you're focusing on these colors and the flickering and ask the being who is now with Laura to please allow themselves to be seen and to come and speak to us. So let's just relax and let me know if they respond, please. What do you see?
I see a point of white light in the center.
Okay, let's watch that white light. Do you still feel the presence in the room with you?
It's shifted to the center of my focus.
Very good, very good. Let's allow right now that shape, that flicker to take form. And when you're ready, please share with us what you see.
I almost sense that there's a, before we did the session, I asked my mother
Your mother.
to guard and allow through, because she's the one that I can trust,
Mm-hmm.
anything that wants to communicate with us. And I'm I'm getting the feeling that someone's in discussion with her and
Oh,
she's she's making an agreement. That's the sensation I have.
okay. I would like to say to your mother, what is her name?
Sandra.
Sandra. Thank you, Sandra, for being with us today. Sandra, Laura has chosen to have this session today to make contact to get answers to her questions. And you are so kind and good to be standing guard over her. Thank you. We would like to ask that you allow any being only of the highest vibration and most honest and straightforward intent, a being of light, to be allowed to speak with her today. And if you would stand by to protect her and make sure that nobody is able to come through who does not have her best interests at heart. And thank you. Is anything happening?
The flicker is happening above my head now.
Okay, that's very good.
I get the sense that she's opened a door.
Thank you, Sandra. That's lovely. Okay, so she'll be working with us today.
This is a very high frequency. It's something I haven't felt before.
That's okay. That's good. It's making itself known to you. It's always good. It's always good to make a new contact of high frequency. Let's allow this being to come through. Let me know when you see a change or hear any message.
It's very childlike,
Okay, that's lovely.
but
Good.
not childlike in the sense of immaturity.
Okay.
Soft.
Soft. Beautiful.
It feels angelic. Mm.
What else do you sense or see?
It's causing me to want to cry.
It's okay. Allow that if you wish. I would like to know if this being would be willing to speak to us today.
She feels feminine.
It's beautiful. Very good.
It's no wonder my mother was so protective. This is very much a motherly feeling. It's not my mother, though.
Okay. Laura, would you ask this being who's visiting us today if they would be willing to talk to us, to speak with us today? We would love to talk to them and learn more.
I'm acclimating with her right now.
Thank you. Very good. Just allow that then.
There's a level of deservedness that I'm working through right now.
You deserve only the best. You are deserving of communication. You are just very much deserving.
I feel as though I can speak on her behalf, and
That's
as we
beautiful.
continue, I feel as though she'll be able to insert herself with little effort.
That's perfect. Then let's begin. I would like to know who we are speaking to today. Is there a name that we would recognize you by?
I'm hearing that she's a collective of all the feminine consciousnesses that we would know as the angelic realm. Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Lady Portia, Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin is probably the most familiar.
Very lovely. That's why you felt that maternal love. I would like to know, you've come forward to speak to us today. Before we ask you any questions, do you have a message that you brought with you?
I feel like I feel very emotional right now.
Okay, that's all right. It's an emotional connection. It's natural. It's fine. Just share what you're sensing or receiving in your own time.
I'm receiving a great deal of love and compassion.
That's beautiful. Wonderful. Is there anything that this collective would like to share with us today?
You all feel so alone. Some of you would even say you feel abandoned on this planet at this time. And it's so difficult. We cry the tears that you cry. We wish to soften your hearts. We wish to wipe your tears. We wish to carry the burdens with you. As you are the mothers of children, we are the mothers of humanity. We want you to know without any doubt that we see you. We see your struggle. We honor your struggle. We honor your willingness to go forth to Mother Gaia and be part of and witness to what is occurring on your planet right now.
Thank you.
We hand each of you a pink rose. We hand you a yellow rose. We hand you a white rose. And we hand you a red rose. Red for passion, white for purity, pink for compassion, and yellow for friendship and commitment.
It's beautiful. I'm getting an image of this bouquet of pressing it into the heart for safekeeping. Would you say that that would be appropriate?
Yes,
Thank you so much. Would you be willing to answer any questions that we have for you today?
of course, beloved.
Thank you so much. We're so blessed that you're here. Thank you. We are in deep need of that softness, that maternal energy. As you know, so much of what is happening in the external world on the surface of the planet is very harsh. Even when we're not dwelling in fear, it can be very concerning. It can spark those emotions. Can you give us any advice as to how to get through these final times of the shift?
Every one of you has experienced love. You've experienced either maternal love or the love of a friend or the love of a lover. But the love of a mother or a friend is typically unconditional. It's that feeling of acceptance and the, the definition of namaste. I see the divinity within you. That idea is what will soften your heart. We suggest that in the midst of the chaos and the turmoil on your planet, that you connect with one another. We see you placing your hands on each other's hearts and say, I see you, I know you, and I honor you. That is what we advise you to do.
Thank you. Are these connections with the others that we're close to, are they going to become stronger? Are we going to be meeting more of our soul family during these days?
That is our deepest desire, for you to connect with others, not connect from the place of, I have the same fear as you, so let's join our fears together so that we can be afraid together. No, it's our deepest desire that you connect from the place of, I know who you are, I know where you come from, I know that we resonate on the same frequency, and I know that we desire to provide the world with more light and love. And so let's join those things together and work from that place and have that intention.
Thank you. Would you say there's great power in group meditation or group prayer?
Oh, yes, there always is. But I think that it is more, it is made more complicated than it needs to be. There doesn't need to be any great ritual
Mhm.
or dialogue or script. There just needs to be the intention of coming from a place of deep love. And that's why we come through today, especially for Laura, so that she can remember what that feels like.
What else would you like to share with Laura today?
Those of you, and we are speaking mainly to women, although men are not excluded from this.
Mhm.
Whether a man can give birth to a child is not relevant. The love that they have for their child is the same as a mother's. Women have the added benefit of having shared space with the child and having nurtured physically the child, but the love of a father can be just as intense and strong as a mother's. So when we say what we say, it is not excluding the men. We want to be very clear about that.
Yes.
But we would say that there has been a disconnect.
What on the subject of the divine masculine, we understand that with this shift into the Aquarian age, it involves a change, or I wouldn't want to say a rewiring of the divine masculine energy. Can you share a message to the men who may be listening right now about their role in the shift, and what kind of changes they can expect?
The beautiful men, they have been given quite the disservice on your planet.
Mhm.
Our beloved Yeshua came forth to help men to awaken their hearts and to understand their power. And his message was so misunderstood and misrepresented and taken and destroyed. The men of your planet have been taught that their role is to take and to provide from a place of control, when truly a man's greatest power, and this is not about sexuality at all,
Right.
a man's greatest power is when he can combine and merge his physical strength and energy, the energy that was spoken of before from the solar plexus, the sacral chakra, and the dantian
Hmm.
that spoke through earlier. When men can take that energy and move it into their heart and act as the protector of those around him from a place of deep love and compassion, not from a place of control and domination. That is what's occurring on your planet. That is what you're moving into. Women have the maternal and feminine energy, but that can make a woman feel weak and submissive to men. So their goal, if they should so choose, would be to merge that same energy of that yellow solar plexus Dantian energy in with that nurturing maternal energy. And that's what can form the greatest partnership between men and women, because at the end of the day, they have the same desires.
Hmm. Yes.
But that is what's occurring on your planet. It's very difficult to put words to what we're trying to say in a physical way. But what you're seeing is, and we see it in the people that are confused about their gender because they've been given such a narrow parameter to exist within. If they feel this feminine nurturance, if they feel this feminine maternal instinct, yet they're in a male body, they're confused. Why should they feel that way? So they must be a woman. No, it's the energies that are coming to blend together and merge in a more unified and balanced way. That's what's causing this confusion.
Hmm. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Those comments will be very appreciated, I'm sure, by the men who are experiencing some of this confusion and all these changes in their lives. On the subject of the maternal energy, I know that there's a misconception among humanity that maternal energy equals being a mother, having given birth. However, we know that it has a much broader definition. Could I know that I experienced such a thing in my session yesterday, a motherly encounter? Could you share more about that terminology, what that actually means?
As you are all aware, you don't need to birth a child to be a mother. There are many that adopt children that are not of their blood and not of their body, and they love that child just the same as a mother that gave birth to a child. That's one aspect.
Thank you.
Another aspect would be a woman that has either chosen not to have children or was unable to have children, yet they make their way in the world as a auntie or a wise grandmother type where they work with children and they fulfill that motherly instinct in that way. But from a broader perspective, a more universal perspective, it's the feeling of wanting to birth something. Mother Gaia is a consciousness that did not physically give birth to a child, yet she is the largest version of that motherly type of energy that you exist upon. That doesn't make her any less a mother,
Thank
does
you.
it?
Not at
No,
all.
we
Thank
exist from the realm of feminine nurturance, motherness, love. Really, it boils down to unconditional love. There are people that have had children that don't provide unconditional love to their children. They're still mothers, but they're missing that aspect. They've become disconnected from that part of themselves, whether it be from trauma, whether it be from disconnection. So we would say, in answer to your question, that the root cause of a lot of the problems on your planet within humanity is a disconnection from the unconditional universal love, that feeling of wanting to care for and nurture another being.
Thank you. So when we have ascended to a fifth dimensional reality, is this unconditional love? It's going to be more natural to us. It's going to be something we don't have to actually work at. That's going to be more or less the driving force behind everything.
That is a wonderful way to envision it and understand it.
Thank you.
We would say that it would be as if you were breathing different air, that you were swimming in different water, that made it more natural, as you say, to exist and react with unconditional love as what guides you. Yes, that is exactly what would occur. This is occurring already on your planet. We come through today to tell you and remind you that when you come from a place of compassion, you're bringing in that fifth dimensional and beyond ray of unconditional love. When you hug your friend and cry together and feel that deep agape love between two individuals, you're bringing that energy to your planet. We don't want you to sit back and wait to ascend to 5D or beyond to live within that unconditional love environment. What we're coming forth today is to ask for you to not wait, to come and take your cup, dip it in, and pull it back down and drink from it where you currently reside now. There's no reason why you can't do that. We're here today to remind you you can do that, and more importantly, you should do that.
My next question is very much in reference to what you just said. A lot of us are trying to make decisions regarding what aspect, for instance, of fifth dimensional consciousness we want to embody once the culmination of the shift takes place. Um, could you give us advice as to some other things we could do to help manifest our fifth dimensional reality, to really bring it in as quickly as possible as a reality for us in the physical sense?
Our beloveds, we just did.
Oh, thank you.
It is that
Okay.
simple. It is that simple. The the information, we're stopping because we're providing information that needs to be deciphered.
Okay. Thank you. I know we do have a tendency to overcomplicate things. Before we move forward, do you have any final message for us?
We want to answer your question.
Okay, thank you very much.
It's human nature to, and we're going to use the analogy that Laura can understand, because it's currently what she's experiencing. So we'll paint a picture and then we'll explain to you what it means. If you're living in your current home and things aren't exactly the way you would like them to be,
Mhm.
sometimes it's the natural feeling to say, it would just be easier to move. And I'd
Mhm.
start from scratch and I'll have new floors and new appliances and uh, a bigger closet, and life will just be easier. Yes, does that make sense? Can we
Yes,
understand
we
that?
all experience that. Yes, that's very
Right,
familiar
right.
feeling.
That's a very
Mhm.
familiar feeling to you, and Laura's been feeling that a great deal recently.
Yes, she has. What would you like to say about that?
So we would say to you from a broader perspective that that feeling is very much this desire to escape and move away from the dimensions in which you reside to a higher perspective, another dimension, because it would be easier. We would say to you that's exact same response that, well, it's too much effort to repaint the walls, or it's too much effort to clean the closet out and make space. It's too much effort. It was just easier to start from scratch. Well, yes, it can be from the perspective of where you sit that you would just rather start from scratch. And there are those of you that will. There are those of you that will pack your house up and move. Bella, you recently did this. Laura
Yes.
is contemplating this. But it is no different than the idea that you will move from 3D to 5D. When it is your time, you will move. It will not necessarily be some dramatic experience. It will be a shift, and the easiest way that we can provide that perspective is when you're driving in your car and you typically take the same route home every day,
Mhm.
and it is to the point where you can go unconscious and you'll find your way home. There's that time when something taps you on the shoulder and says, why don't you try this way home today?
Mhm.
And you shift to that new direction and you find that, "Hmm, I prefer that way. It's easier. It's a nicer drive. It's less congestion. I feel more at peace when I take that route home than if I was to take the shorter, more familiar route." That is exactly the way you can view the shift. It's not that you're not going to be in the same car or the same body or in the same environment. You will decide to take a different route.
Okay. And many of us are making those decisions every day.
Yes, every
Okay.
day you're making decisions on which route to take home. That is a beautiful analogy, and we hope that you can feel the
We
depth
can.
of that.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful. Thank you for all of the advice you have given us. Please share the information you're getting.
I can see, and I'm trying, that's not the right word. It's
Oh,
trying to become more clear, but those carnival rides that are circular that spin, and it's got bars. It almost looks like a carousel without the horses, I guess would be the best
I
way to
know what
put
you
it.
mean.
Yeah,
Yes.
I see that on my left. It's
Okay.
metallic and it's round, and I'm
Okay.
just trying to get more information about what that is.
Just allow it to come. Don't try. Just allow. It will come to you. Allow it to take shape and listen for any messages.
It's definitely a ship.
It's a ship. Let's look at this ship. What else do you notice about it? Is it large or is it small? Can you tell?
It's not as large as Ashtar's ship.
Maybe a shuttle ship, something smaller?
It's stationary. It's not a scout ship at all.
Oh,
It's stationary. It's like the feeling I'm getting is observation.
observation. Okay. Tell us more about what that looks like. What if you could describe more features? Do you notice anything distinct?
It's round
Okay.
with a domed top, but it flares out. It really looks like a top, like a spinning top.
Okay. Is it spinning?
It is.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Very good. What color is it? Is it
It's silver.
silver? Okay.
Are you able to see this?
I can see it, yes. But I have to ask. I can see it. It's so you mentioned that you got a sense that it's an observational ship. What can you tell me about that? Do you know more about what you meant?
It doesn't have the capacity, nor does it have the desire to move in and out like a
Okay.
ship would. It's not aerodynamic, really. It almost feels like a satellite.
Okay. Like a satellite.
I want to see who's in it.
Yes, I was about to say, let's visit this satellite. Is it possible to go inside?
I'm asking.
Thank you.
They're waving us in, like, yeah,
Oh, good.
sure, go ahead.
Okay. Let's go. Tell me when. Tell me when we're inside and how we get in. Share the experience you're having.
We just Our consciousness just goes in.
Okay.
It's illuminated. Um, Everything's purple.
It's purple. That's beautiful. Look around. Are there any people inside? Any beings? Anything? Does anyone work there?
I see 3 screens
Okay. What's on
on
those screens?
on the rounded portion of the it's round inside.
Hmm.
The walls are rounded, obviously. And at the console, there are 3 large screens,
Okay.
and there are I don't know how to describe.
It's okay. Sometimes it's hard to put words to things that we're seeing in a different dimension. Do you see any people there?
I'm getting this sense of presences, but I'm not
Okay.
able yet to visualize
Okay.
them.
That's fine. What else do you notice about the interior of this place? Is it familiar to you?
It's somewhat familiar in the
Okay.
sense that it's part of our familiar ship.
Mm-hmm.
It's
You mentioned it's there for observation. Can you expand upon that? What it is observing?
it's one of many.
Okay.
It's a stationary observation station.
Mm-hmm.
Its power source is underneath the ship,
Okay.
and it moves up through a center beam or pole or post.
Okay. What kind of a power source? What powers this place? Do you know? Is it something that you would be able to articulate?
And being shown, um, and I'm not saying that this is what it is, but
Okay.
the best way I could understand would be, uh, what movie was that? It's a Dan Brown movie where they held the particle. It was the particle was held in the glass device, and if it got out,
Mhm.
it would blow everything up. It was this like atomic particle that
Okay.
spun.
Mhm.
That's what I'm seeing. That they're saying that in the universe, small things can hold great power, and so
Mhm.
whatever this is that's powering this particular station is no different than what powers all ships. But this,
Okay.
they're showing me this spinning kind of Merkabah like light held within a vacuum underneath the ship.
Okay. Thank you. I would like to know, as we look at these screens, what is the assignment of this particular station? What is it that they're watching, and what are they observing? What exactly?
The comings and goings
Of whom or what?
of many.
Are they observing a specific planet?
They're in our solar system observing Earth, Mars, and Venus
Okay.
and their associated moons.
And why are they doing this?
I'm being shown some things, but they're definitely blocking my access to
Okay.
a lot of information that I want to to come forward.
That's fine. I'd like to know, are you in a body at the moment while you're inside this place?
No,
No, we're just observing this way.
we're
Okay.
observing the observers.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Would the observers like to speak to us today? Any of them? We have so many questions for them.
They will be willing to communicate to some degree, but not all. There's this level of tentativeness,
Mm.
or they're telling me that there's a lot of information that we wouldn't be able to understand or handle.
Okay, thank you. So now I would like to open that line of communication with whoever would like to speak to us today. And I would like to know, you allowed us to visit this amazing station today, the station of observation. And we thank you so much for that. What was your motivation for allowing us to come and see you today?
You requested.
Yes, we always do. Thank you. And to whom am I speaking? Could you give me an idea of what is your home planet and who you are?
This is a very different energy. I need a minute.
Take as long as you need. We're working outside of time now, so it doesn't matter.
It's a very strong
Mm.
energy. I feel it in my chest.
Okay. We'll set the intention that you will not experience any discomfort, however, right now. We are observing, we're watching the observers. The energy is strong.
The station is not manned.
Okay.
There is consciousness that works within this station.
Mm-hmm.
We would consider it unmanned, like an unmanned drone, although the connection with all the other ships is still occurring.
I see. Is there a specific fleet or a specific star race that is in charge of this station?
No.
No.
Mm.
Okay. Could you expand on that a bit?
It's interesting because this energy is very non-emotional,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt a very deep emotion with the feminine collective.
That's
So this is a
okay.
very different energy.
That's right. I would imagine, is it more of a scientific kind of a thing? It's a,
Very much.
okay, that's absolutely fine. It's still a benevolent energy. Um, I would love to know more about whatever you're able to share within our scope of understanding about the operations and the purpose of the station. We would love to know more. It helps us to know more.
It can be very difficult for humans to believe
We can
that
try.
there is so much more that is occurring outside of your purview.
Mhm. Yes, we do believe that. At least our group of humans does, and probably, and I know that Laura does. Um, do you have a connection in any way to Laura and I where we know you, we know the operations that are going on a higher level?
We are all known to one another.
Okay.
This is a collective. This is a collective experience. This is a collective endeavor.
Mhm.
We're going to peel the onion, so to speak, to provide you some information that may be helpful.
Thank you.
It is human nature to want to identify individuals in order to have a connection with that individual because you're used to making connections with individuals. It's difficult to have a connection to a community or group of individuals as a collaborative because you don't know where to look. It's as if the best analogy would be trying to look at a bug that has 100 eyes. Which eye do you focus upon? And would say that there are hundreds of eyes, and we use that as the not EYE, the eyes, the letter I,
Mhm.
that participate with you in many dimensions.
Thank
So
you.
if you can understand that and set aside the desire to connect with an I,
Mhm.
we ask that you broaden your view to understand and encompass that there are many eyes.
Okay.
If that's understood, then we can move forward.
It is very much. We would love to know more about your collective, if you would share anything.
It's not my collective, it's our
Okay.
collective.
Our collective. Thank you for that.
So we're speaking to our collective.
Mhm.
From our vantage point, and this is no new news to you, there is great change upon your planet,
Yes, there is.
and it is difficult for you.
Mhm.
We do not feel the emotion of the trauma or chaos or hard times that you're experiencing, because we are not in a physical body on your planet experiencing that. So please do not take our detachment from your suffering as not caring.
Oh, I won't do that. No, I understand very much. From that perspective, I actually do have a bit of understanding. So thank you for that. As you observe our planet, what is your perspective? We're going through so many changes, so many uncertainties. Any information, it means everything to us to help us through these times.
We feel great empathy for you in the sense that you have shrunk yourself down into the little human body and
Yes.
consciousness that you reside in upon the earth.
Hmm.
And we know that it's very difficult for those of you who are awakened to that you are so much more, and you're in connection with and communication with the greater aspects of yourself. It makes it even more difficult to live
It
upon the
does.
planet. And we do understand that. We
Thank
do
you.
empathize with that. So we would say to you that although that does make it more difficult, it actually makes it easier, and we would like to further discuss that.
Yes.
The difference between the unawakened and the awakened. Now, of course, there are many different levels of awakenedness. The awakenedness of what's going on your planet, the deceit, the corruption,
Hmm.
the flagrant evil that presides over your planet right now, that's one level of awareness.
Right.
And that level of awareness is becoming more and more obvious to people every day, more and more becoming awakened. And really, if you want to look at the goal of the time on your planet now, the agenda, and agenda is a word that has a lot of negative connotation attached to it, but if you can look at the word agenda in a more positive way, the goal, the end gain of this experience is to awaken individuals to the awareness that not everything is as you've been told.
Hmm.
And when someone is willing to look at, well, not everything is as it appears or as I've been told, then they start to say, well, what isn't? What else is not what I've been told? And then they began to seek. And then they began to question, well, if this isn't real, then what is real? And then they awaken that further. And then they question, well, then why am I here? And then that opens the big door to, well, is there something outside of what my life is? And that just keeps growing and growing. It's like that Russian doll. You take one off, you come in, it goes down and down and down. What we are witnessing from our perspective is that peeling of the onion to get to that core. And what is the core? The awareness that you are multidimensional beings participating in a grand universal design to become aware of the fact that you are aspects of God.
Thank you. That.
That is the best way we can describe this to you. For those of you that are already aware that you are aspects of divine, that you are sparks of
Mhm.
God incarnate in a physical body for a purpose, it can make this situation bearable, understandable,
Mhm.
because just imagine those on the planet who don't have that awareness, the sheer terror and sadness and frustration and wanting to give up that they feel when you feel that way.
Yes,
But yet
that's
you're
true.
you're aware of your divinity, and that is your gift, and that is what you agreed to come to the planet and be part of this awakening because you know your multidimensionality existence. You know that there are many, 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 many aspects of your soul embodied in this planet right now. You know that you communicate with things that don't have a face.
Mm-hmm.
You can be guides for those that are suffering through this experience.
Thank you. That's definitely helpful information. We very much appreciate you taking the time to share that with us. Is there anything else that you can tell us about your mission or about everything that is happening in the universe right now? Just things that we may not know, but we do have the capability to understand. You said you're observing more than just the earth.
The information that we would like to share with you could scare people.
Okay.
It shouldn't scare
No,
people,
it
but
shouldn't.
there are those that may listen to this that may not understand.
Mhm.
So we will place a field around this recording that only those that understand and are a high enough vibration will hear this information
Okay, thank you.
because we feel that it's important.
Yes, we need information. It is very, very important. And it is important for people to know that there is more than just this small place, the small world around us.
Your solar system is moving into a new area of the universe. Of course it is. Everything moves. This is not new information.
No.
But what needs to be understood, or better said, would be beneficial for you to understand
Mhm.
is that many planets are going through transition during this move through this new area of the solar system and universe.
Mhm.
What we mean by that is we will use an analogy that will be understood. There's the word microcosm and macrocosm.
Mhm.
And what happens in the microcosm affects the macrocosm. For example, if you drop, we're trying to give a very clear, benign example.
Okay, that's fine.
If you had a small lake
Mhm.
and you planted a plant in the lake or put a non-native fish in the lake or introduced an amphibian that doesn't normally live in that lake, it would do everything it could to acclimate to its new surroundings and flourish. That would be the desire, right?
Right, exactly.
But sometimes the native plants and fish and amphibians that normally live in that environment can be overrun by the new introduction of plants, fish, and amphibians. That's an unfortunate side effect, but it's not really thought through very well. So I hope that makes sense and is understood. That's the best analogy we can give you, that things that may have been considered benign, good ideas,
Right.
can have ill effects.
So, in relation to the planet, as we apply that analogy to Earth, moving into a new solar system. Is this something that is having ill effects on the people?
We've come through today to answer the question that Laura presented to Bella early and before the session began
Okay, which one would that
in
be?
reference to the information that she's come in contact with that has caused such conflict within her
Okay.
regarding what is occurring on your planet and also other planets within not only your solar system, but the universe as a whole.
Okay.
The analogy we just provided you would be the analogy to answer the question of what's occurring on your planet.
Is this the question where she was wondering if she had heard a channeling that the planet was being infiltrated with beings who don't share a desire for sovereignty?
Yes,
Is
we've given you the best analogy we can
okay, I see.
to explain that. It was not necessarily a malicious. It was seen as beneficial
Hmm.
by those that made the decision to plant the plant that was non-native,
I see.
to put the
Okay.
non-native fish in the pond with the native fish, and the
Hmm.
outcome that was seen or experienced.
This outcome that you're referring to, is this the very broad outcome that we've been dealing with um, for example, the reptilian
Yes,
races, the ones who have instituted the corrupt financial systems and governments? Is that what you're referring to?
that is what we're referring to. Yes.
Thank you very much. That's what she, yes, she had questions about that. Is there anything more on that topic that you can share, or should we move on?
What we will share with you from our perspective, and we're providing her a visual,
Okay.
is that as you move into the new areas within the solar system and this universe, the energies are very different. We will provide you another analogy so that we can make this as benign
Mhm.
and non-scary as possible.
Yes.
Utilizing the same analogy of the non-native planted in the native environment. And we're not referring to climate in the sense that we're talking about the purported climate change on your planet, which
Uh-huh.
we will not go into to not trigger
Okay.
individuals. However, we will say that naturally occurring changes in the frequencies that you are now existing within as you
Mhm.
move into these new frequencies will cause these non-native species to not be able to exist within this new frequency, meaning that the
Yes.
salinity of the water has changed, the soil has changed, the temperature has changed to make it very difficult for this non-native species to exist within this current environment.
That makes perfect sense.
This is what you're witnessing.
Thank you. That's an excellent message that you have for Laura right now before we move her forward.
It's interesting that her existence is also that of as an observer
Ah.
on the planet. She observes those around her.
Mm-hmm.
She observes the conditions. She observes from a higher perspective, a broader perspective, that which is occurring on your planet
Uh-huh.
while she's embodied. Her
Ah.
level of observation is strong and supported by her connection to this level of observation. It is connected, it is one and the same.
So so she is both incarnated here and living a human existence, but she is observing also from beyond the planet.
We wouldn't say she is observing beyond the planet. She is connected to the frequency and energy that is of the observation, the work on the ships, if you will.
Okay.
It is
I
something
see.
that she can access, but it is a strong component of how her brain and consciousness is able to observe and categorize and catalog information.
I see. So is this experience she is having here on Earth, it must be of value to those that she is working with? Is she is transmitting information?
You have completely connected the dots. Yes, that
Thank
is
you.
exactly what is occurring. She's being
Okay.
shown this to make her aware that there is this feeling of I'm not doing enough, I am not
Right.
participating or being of
Hmm.
purpose. We're showing her this today because she is 100% on purpose by observing all that she's observing. And actually, it's not a negative response to react to what she's observing, which she's really working hard to not be reactive. But we do want her to be reactive. We want her to feel the emotion behind what she's observing because it
Okay.
adds to the information that we receive
I
as
see.
she's acting as a conduit.
I
She is an
see.
antenna and she is providing us feedback. We appreciate the feedback because of her intellect and her ability to see the broadest perspective and not see it from just an individual point of view. She sees things from a collective point of view. That is why it's so difficult. And we say to you that you have the same, and everyone listening has the same ability, and it can be seen as a negative, but you're seeing things from the perspective of a collective, the collective of humanity, and how it is so difficult to watch and witness what's occurring. But we
Hmm.
need you to watch and witness what's occurring. Don't put your head in the sand. We need the full picture. And that helps provide us the information that we need to be able to observe what's going on your planet, but also to observe what's going on outside and around your planet. So you are being of great purpose, even if you don't feel you are, because you are the antennae that we connect to receive that data.
I see. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate that. Absolutely. To know that what we're doing on an everyday basis is making a difference. Thank you. Now, I am going to move Laura forward at the moment. And I would like to thank you all for allowing us to visit you today at the station. It's been really informative and it's been very kind of you to take that time with us. So thank you very, very much. And now Laura and I are very slowly going to leave this station with great thanks and gratitude. Moving on to the safe space that we are working from. And we will close this scene at the station as this collective recedes. And I would now like to ask Laura's higher self to step forward to speak with us today. And I would like to know if you would be willing to answer some questions that Laura has.
Of course.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. We just visited with beings or a collective of beings at an observation station. We also had other experiences with the Divine Feminine Collective, and you could have shown Laura anything at all today. And I'd like to know why these two experiences were chosen.
I need just a minute.
Take as long as you need. Remember, we're not working within linear time here.
There's another collective here.
Another collective. Is this collective related to your higher self or is
Yes.
this someone else? It is. Okay, that's the wonderful. Would this collective be willing to speak with us today?
This is even stronger than the last time.
Okay, that's fine. Absolutely. Let's just relax into it until we get a better idea of who or what type of collective this is that's come in.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Who am I speaking to at the moment?
We are Laura's counsel.
Laura's council. Thank you for coming forward. Could you share more about this council?
Before this session,
Mhm.
Laura made the intention that all of her counsel and guides be present
Okay.
and that the highest information be brought forth to benefit the whole.
Yes. Thank
That
you.
is we.
That is you. Okay. Could you tell us more about Laura's role on this council?
That is a strange question in the sense that we are her counsel.
Okay.
So to ask what her purpose is on the council is difficult to answer.
Okay.
We serve her in her physical existence in the planet at this time.
Okay.
She, as her divine consciousness, is of course part of us. We are acting through her as she resides on the planet.
I see. Thank you very much. So you would be what she would consider her guides.
We are her family.
Her family. Thank you very, very much. What can you tell us about the experiences we've had today, why they were chosen?
Laura has a very masculine energy by nature.
Okay.
Her astrology chart has 10 masculine signs, 2 feminine signs.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, her energy tends to be more masculine, not in reference to her sexuality or gender. It's just the energy itself tends to be more of action. Action is a masculine energy.
Right.
She has been feeling a disconnect from her feminine nurturing energy, and it has been causing her great sadness. The divine collective was brought forth to soothe that sadness, to reconnect to her heart and remind her that it is, although not a big portion, and we would say not a majority of her life energy, it is
Mhm.
still nonetheless a very important part of who she is.
Okay. Thank you. So this served as a reminder or an activation, so to speak.
Both.
Thank you very much. That's very good. She, as do all of us, have many questions about our origins, where we come from, our missions. What can you share with Laura about that?
those of you that are awakened who have asked the question, who am I? And then move on to the next question, which is, what am I here to do or to
Mm-hmm.
be? That causes you great pain when you feel as though you're not doing or being whatever you assume or envision that to be.
Mm-hmm.
Laura has in the past been able to easily reinvent herself, create from nothing, and manifest whatever it is her desire was at the moment. It feels to her as though she's lost that ability.
Mm-hmm.
It's caused her great pain, and it's caused her to really question why she's still here,
Yes.
because it was clear prior to now why she was here, and that clarity has been missing. We brought in the observation station for several reasons. One, to answer the question that was presented to you prior to the session,
Mm-hmm.
to give clarity on the information that she is reading, to understand that yes, there is truth to it, and to understand from a broader perspective why things have happened the way they've happened. But just as equally important, she was shown the observation and her connection and all of your connection to these observation stations, these consciousnesses that are collecting data as to the human experience. You may be doing absolutely nothing, and nothing in the sense that how society would see your actions,
Mm-hmm.
but you are providing such highly important and beneficial information by observing. And so this was brought forth for all of you who may be questioning what your purpose on the planet is at this time. It may feel as though you've lost abilities that you had, that you'd mastered. It
Yes.
may feel as though you were very physically active in your communities or in your industries or in your modalities, and those have gone away. We want to remind you that right now, during this transition, what was is no longer necessarily needed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very ineffective to be running a marathon when you need to be resting.
Yes.
It's difficult to observe from a broader perspective when you're active and doing other things that divert your attention. So you are being of purpose. Will it always be this way? No.
That's good. So when you say, will it always be this way? No. Could you share more about what it will be like?
When we say, will it always be this way, we're referencing this feeling of inaction
Mm-hmm.
versus being of purpose.
Right.
Will you always be inactive in order to be an antennae to provide the observation information that is helpful to the collective?
Mm-hmm.
No. There will come the time when it is appropriate that you will bring online new skills, new abilities, new perceptions that will be beneficial when we reach that stage.
Are you able to share more about what Laura's new abilities will be like?
She does these sessions with you and interacts with very different consciousnesses and other
Mm-hmm.
dimensions. She is flexing muscles that will become second nature,
Yes.
that will not require the sessions in order to connect with and interact with.
Right.
This will take practice and this will take time and effort and intention,
Uh-huh.
but it is her and our desire to make this more frequent
Okay,
and to
that's
provide
fine.
information.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I sense the same. Thank you. Laura is going through a decision-making process right now regarding the purchase of property. Um, we know that we're transitioning out of monetary systems, third dimensional perspectives on things. So it's a very difficult thing for anybody who's considering doing something in a third dimensional manner, such as buying a home, buying land, anything like that. Could you advise Laura, is this a good idea for her to do this, or should she stay put? Should she wait it out until we shed these old paradigms?
The idea that the 3D connection and need for money
Mm-hmm.
will just disappear is not um, advised to be the way of your thinking.
How should it be?
This is a long-term, multi-generational shift. It will
Okay.
not occur within your lifetime. So we would
Oh.
suggest that the idea that money is not important is a detrimental way of looking at things. You will need to be more cautious with the way in which you spend your money and accrue debt. We would say that what's shifting right now is the desire and attention of having things that are perceived to be high value and understanding that simple is more important, more beneficial. Um, the idea that having a big house or a fancy car or the latest cell phone or diamonds or things that are just seen as status,
Mm-hmm.
that idea is going away. So that would be, again, the analogy of the peeling of the onion.
Okay.
That is the first layer that is being peeled away, is this understanding that the importance that has been placed upon status items is not necessarily important anymore. Those that will be seen as wealthy over the next 10 to 20 to 30 years will be those that have the ability to grow gardens, those that have stores of food, those that have paid off homes, those that have ample resources. Those will be seen as wealthy now in society. And previously, those that drive expensive vehicles, live in a big house, those that can afford the new phone every time it comes out, those that are dripping in diamonds. In the old way, that was seen as wealthy. That is shifting. That's the first layer. And as you move into that, where those that are seen as wealthy are those that have resources that can't be taken from them because they own them, that's true wealth. And then the next layer will be those that um, no longer care about buying into the system. So those industries that provide the cell phones and the big cars and the big homes, they will start to diminish. Their value will diminish and community will grow, and it will be the value of the person that can build a home or service a home, someone who knows how to plant crops and grow them efficiently and make really nutritiously dense food, those that know how to sew, those that understand
Mhm.
health and can be of service to their community to provide services to maintain optimal wellness. Those will be the kinds of people that will be seen as the most valuable. So it's just you're stepping in tears into this idea that money will no longer be important, but
Okay.
it's going to take time.
Okay, that brings me to another question. Again, regarding timelines and the multiple levels, as you like you were talking about levels, there are multiple 5D timelines in play, some of which are exactly what you described, an introductory type of thing where it's a slower progress, exactly what you said. But then there are others that encompass what we have seen as that that moment, that the flare, the shift, the split would be on a different level and timeline. Is that correct in your eyes?
We see this solar flash or split moment from the perspective of your planet being inundated with new energies because of its proximity in a certain area of the solar system as it moves through the universe.
Mm-hmm.
As described before,
Right.
with the analogy of the native versus non-native plants, animals
Mm-hmm.
in a lake, as you move into this new frequency, things will be choked out, burned off, made obsolete.
Right.
Now, we will use terminology that you're familiar with
Okay.
in the sense that just like the plants that are non-native can't exist within the new frequencies, there are energies connected to the physical body and the consciousness of the people that reside within that physical body that are causing them to think a certain way, act a certain way, that are not necessarily beneficial to not only them, but those around them.
Mm-hmm.
We would say that when this energy shift occurs, it will, just as it did the plant, fish, and amphibians in the lake, it will burn off, choke out, and make those energies unable to exist within the new frequency. So they will be peeled off, as you would say. Now,
Yes.
there are some individuals that are so deeply entrenched within that energy that they would not be able to survive that removal.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of the idea that people would perish in that energy, that is what you would see, is that, and we would remind you of the previous session when there was the attempt to remove darkness and negative energy within Laura's heart area, that we reminded you that it's not beneficial to rip a scab off of a wound that has not had the opportunity to heal, that it would
Okay.
create more problems. This is the same analogy we would use at that moment in time when this shift occurs, and we will not be able to give you any indication as to when that will occur. That is a universal
Right.
timeline, and it
Mm-hmm.
will occur when it is most beneficial and when the tipping point has been reached in the consciousness of humanity. But what will occur at that time, and it is not a scary thing, it's those
Oh no.
consciousnesses that cannot exist without the attachments that have connected to them, whether it's a negative human tendency, whether it is a consciousness that does not maybe have the um, highest purpose for the individual that it is interacting with, whether
Mm-hmm.
it be a negative alien presence that has infiltrated the mind of an individual. Uh, it could be a multitude of descriptions. However, those frequencies will not be able to exist within that individual and that physical being when that shift occurs. So that body will have the choice of
Right.
trying to live
Yes.
without that attachment and learn and be healed and brought forth if it has that willingness,
Right.
or it will just release the physical body and return to source.
For people
Well,
who are
let's unpack this. So we would say
yes.
that one problem within the community that you speak of is this idea that we're moving into 5D and money doesn't matter. That's
Right.
the first misnomer. That idea is what's causing the conflict within your lives. Money does matter, not from the sense that money's important and it's the end all be all and it should be worshiped. No, money is how we purchase food and homes and cars and how we
Yeah.
live. Now, we would also say, as we spoke before, that for those of you who are struggling with finances, the idea of simplifying your life and really focusing on what matters would be the next step in that. So letting go of this idea that money doesn't matter, because it does. And then looking at your life and how you're living it, because there's an imbalance in most people where they say money doesn't matter and I have a hard time making money, but I still want nice things. So that's a problem where those two cannot work together. So if you
Right.
want nice things, then you need to earn money to pay for nice things. Otherwise you're taking from others, and that's not part of your agenda or your purpose. So money does matter. You need to earn an income, and depending on what kind of life you want to live determines what income you need to produce. So we would say those are the two areas in which to start. Then the idea that has been implanted, and if we were to be perfectly honest with you, we would say that that idea was implanted in order to disservice the healers and the thinkers of the planet, to say, well, anyone who is the seer in the village must be poor. The churches have begun that idea that in order to serve the church in some capacity, you must be destitute and must give all of your belongings to the church. That really began the idea that anybody that lives well must not be of a high spiritual content. That idea is what has been embedded in the healing and spiritual communities. So we would say to you, a simple thing is to release that, to ask that it be released. Ask your guides to remove any negative attachments to money, or the lack of money or the lack of abundance, to be released from you and your energetic body.
Okay, I have a question on that note. As we do this, there is a great deal of talk that very soon, while we still will have money, that the control of that money is going to shift into the hands of those who are not of dark intent. That there's a new system in the wings to make it a better situation for everyone. Is this correct? They call it Nasara.
There are so many in power, seen and unseen, that are ensuring that that does not occur.
Yes, we know. It's a lot of resistance.
So we would suggest to you that you don't refrain from doing the things that have been previously discussed while you wait for this savior, so to speak. There has been a great deal of psychological warfare on your planet.
Yes.
To convince you to give up your power. That has been done on both sides of the coin. So the analogy used of the bird and the two wings is really what we can use to describe this, that there may be one side that has an opinion or an agenda, and the other side, it's the same bird. So the example we can use is the idea of Q. There is the feeling that that information was just another way to convince people just to sit back and allow the plan to occur. However, Was that plan encouraging people to stand up for their sovereignty, or was it encouraging them to sit back and allow things to happen? We always suggest and support the idea that every individual is a sovereign being, and that you um, shall be empowered and not disempowered. So we would say to you that all of these ideas are beautiful and wonderful, but at the end of the day, you must ask yourself, are they empowering you or are they disempowering you?
They're giving us hope. I believe that would be the correct way of
Well,
looking
hope is
at
a
it.
beautiful thing as long as that hope provides you the outcome in which you desire. But
Right.
we would say to you that waiting for someone to save you, waiting for someone to do something for you, and it could be as simple as saying that there's a housekeeper coming on Friday. Do you sit on the couch and twiddle your thumbs and allow a mess to accumulate in the hopes that someone shows up to clean your home? And what happens when they don't clean your home? You've got double the work now to clean up the mess. We would
Oh,
say that that's a great analogy for what's occurring on your planet at this time. You must take an active role in every decision that you make regarding your finances, your environment, your moving forward, where you choose to live, what you choose to do.
mhm. Do you see that shift coming though during our lifetimes of the financial system? Or is it just kind of talk?
The financial system is breaking down as we spoke before. And
Mm,
again, we will go back to the idea that the financial system's built on the idea of consumption.
right.
And the more people are willing to consume and feel the pressure to consume, the more the financial system is going to be built upon that. When that system breaks down, where people are no longer interested in consuming in great quantities, things will collapse
I
and have
see.
to be
Mhm.
reorganized and restructured.
Thank you.
I hope that that is clear.
No, it's very clear. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Before we bring Laura back, do you have any final message for her today?
Our message is more for the community itself,
Okay,
which she
thank
is a
you.
part of.
Hmm.
We would say to you again, we understand your ambivalence for wanting to stay here. We would probably feel the same way. We honor you because we are not partaking in the battle that you mentioned before using the war analogy.
Hmm.
We it's much easier to stand back and watch than to actually participate, and we honor each and every one of you who has agreed to come here. We are here. All you must do is reach for us and feel us when you feel depleted or afraid or exhausted. It is a matter of intention. We are as real to you as you are to each other. We may not be visible to you, but we are nonetheless real in your existence. We can't help you unless you ask. Each of you has a council, each of you has a collective that is part of your soul, your oversoul group, your connection to source. Each of you has an unlimited amount of energy that can be provided to you when you need it. All you shall do is ask.
Hmm.
You could see us as the refrigerator of sustenance for you. All you have to do is open the door. The light will come on and you'll get what you need.
Okay. Thank you.
We also ask that you strengthen your ability to discern what is true and what is not true. And the way in which you strengthen your discernment muscle is to connect with your team
Hmm.
and run any and all things through that filter to help you better discern, because what's coming will depend on your ability to discern what is real and what is not real.
Mhm.
You'll be presented with a lot of misinformation because the intention of those that wish to control you operate by manipulating your perceptions. And those that have a strong ability to discern are a challenge to those. So, if there were any advice that we could give you moving forward that would be the most beneficial in any and all circumstances and environments, would be to strengthen your ability to discern real versus unreal, truth versus untruth. And as you master that ability, teach others. It doesn't require an affiliation to a particular group or an identification with a certain political party or spiritual group or belief system. Everybody can learn to discern. We would advise you not to allow your ego to come into play to try to subvert those that you would want to help to learn to discern by giving them your truths, because your truth is not necessarily the truth of someone else. In fact, it's
Mhm.
never someone else's truth.
That's true.
You may agree and you may have similar vantage points and viewpoints, but your truth is only your truth. So we would also advise that you remember that and abstain from attempting to cause someone's perspective to shift towards yours.
Very good. Thank you so much.
We love you. We honor you. We're here for you. All you must do is reach for us and ask and open yourself to your team. We are all of one consciousness. We are all of God, and we were all here for you.
Thank you. That's really beautiful reminder for us. We very much appreciate that. Thank you so much for all the information that you have given for us today.